So now it is my pleasure to introduce Katie Carlson. Katie was appointed to the first Director of Wellness Initiatives for the Marion County Sheriff's Office in 2021. Previously, she served as Public Information Officer for the Sheriff, a position she assumed in 2012. Katie completed a 200-hour yoga teacher training at City Yoga in 2019. Last year, she completed 300 hours of coursework to become a certified mindfulness teacher through the Engaged Mindfulness Institute. Katie finds peace and balance through yoga practice and great joy in sharing her yoga and mindfulness practices with others in a variety of community, carceral, and professional settings. I've been pleased to know Katie for a couple of years now and here for this evening for her 22nd Wednesday night presentation. I welcome you to greet Katie, and thank you very much, Katie, for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here and grateful to be here today for this, my 22nd presentation to this group. This is the last of 7 in a series that I've been calling Balancing Our Energy Centers. And when I say energy centers, what I'm referring to are the chakras. The word chakra is a Sanskrit word meaning wheel or circle, and the philosophy of chakras arose in early Hinduism. While we are all familiar with the concept of our physical body, the chakras refer to one's subtle or energy body. There are 7 chakras that align from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, and each of these energy centers is believed to correspond with different aspects of our being. In my previous presentations, I've discussed the first 6 of 7 chakras. We begin with the root chakra, which is associated with having our basic needs met, our family and ancestral upbringings, as well as our general sense of stability and groundedness. The sacral chakra, which is associated with our relationships with others, money, sex, power, and creativity. The solar plexus chakra, which is associated with our self-confidence, self-worth, and willpower. The heart chakra, which is associated with self-compassion and giving and receiving love. And the throat chakra, associated with our ability to communicate effectively and live our own truths. Most recently was the third eye chakra, which is associated with our intuition, wisdom, and imagination. The Sahasrara chakra translates to thousands petaled, which represents its symbol, a lotus flower, or more specifically, a 1,000-petaled lotus flower. But for the rest of this presentation, I'll be referring to it as the crown chakra. Located at the crown of your head, it is associated with the hypothalamus and pituitary glands, the head, the cerebral cortex, the nervous system, and by association with the nervous system, it's associated with every organ in our body. It's also associated with the color violet and the ages 43 to 49. The crown chakra relates to our spiritual enlightenment and our connection to the divine and our interconnectedness that we have with each other and the universe. During my presentation on the third eye chakra, I mentioned that I was excited to discuss that chakra, particularly because nurturing my intuition plays a significant role in my personal practice. I also mentioned that one reason I might feel connected to that work is because I fall within the age range associated with the third eye chakra. By contrast, I'll begin this presentation by admitting that I feel significantly less prepared to discuss the crown chakra. Perhaps it's because I haven't hit that age range, or perhaps it's because I've yet to experience such enlightenment. But as I've mentioned a number of times, the chakras are a progression, each one building upon the next, both in terms of life experience and personal and spiritual growth. So perhaps you're saying, well, then why are we here listening to you? So I'm just going to begin with this. The matters of the crown chakra are as infinite as they are personal, as they are universal. So I'm leaving plenty of room here, one, for my interpretations to be wrong, And two, to acknowledge that while I'll do my best to be as inclusive and universal as possible, that if this doesn't resonate with you and your relationship to the divine, whatever that is for you, that I'm open, willing, and eager to discuss varying interpretations, and that my intention is to create space here that holds each of them. I thought it might be helpful for me to briefly share my religious and spiritual background. I was raised in an evangelical Lutheran Church of America, which is a pretty politically progressive church. I feel very connected to it and identify as Lutheran. My mom just finished serving 2 years as the president of our church, and through the church, my mom has worked closely with a local mosque to welcome and provide living arrangements and other resources to more than 100 Afghan refugees. Many of them call her grandma. I'm so proud of this work and commitment by her and our church. Back in high school, one of my best friends was Baha'i. He explained to me that they believe that all of the prophets like Jesus, Abraham, etc., were brothers that were sent to earth when their lesson was needed. The idea of all religions being interconnected resonated deeply with me and stuck with me from that point on. And although I don't dive deeply into the dogma of any particular religion or spiritual tradition, including Christianity, many of my daily spiritual practices and beliefs are rooted in Hinduism and Buddhism. There's a thin line between appropriation and honoring ancient spiritual practices and belief systems, like the Brahma Viharas of Buddhism and the Yama and the Niyama of yoga philosophy, among others. For many of my teachers on appropriation, like Susanna Barkataki, that line lies in colonization, or whether or not harm is being caused to the indigenous people of the places these practices are rooted. Harm can look like a million different things, whether it's theft or repackaging ideas without proper attribution, or it's gatekeeping like cost barriers that prevent persons without means from accessing these practices, to even more outright harm. For centuries under British rule, yoga was outlawed in India, breaking thousands of years of tradition and lineage. The overharvesting of sage and Palo Santo for use in smudge kits available at major American retailers are harming the South American lands where it's been used in ceremony by indigenous tribes for millennia. It's difficult for me to reckon with the harm that my own family has caused via colonization. Like approximately 12% of the American population, I can trace my family heritage back to the Mayflower. My Mayflower ancestor died penniless, but with a little plot of land that was inherited by his children, a plot of land that was stolen from the Wampanoag tribe. From that point on, while never super wealthy, my family always had land, and we'd sell that land to buy more land farther west. Today, our family owns a 3,000 plus acre farm in central Illinois. I feel ashamed of my family's history of colonization. And at the same time, I come from a very long line of Celtic women who were free spirits, rebels, and teachers. I heard a question once that blew my mind. What were the practices of your ancestors before they were colonized? So even while my Puritan ancestors came to this continent 400 years ago, their ancestors had only been Christian for 600 to 1,000 years before that, a relatively short blip in the timeline since the advent of our human capacity to experience spirituality, ritual, and religion going back 50 to 300,000 years. With this prompt, I began to explore more deeply my own roots, including Norse and Celtic paganism. And this wasn't too far of a stretch, as I'd long felt a connection to the outdoors, the stars, the solstices, and the equinoxes. And like yoga was outlawed in India, paganism became a sin worthy of execution in the early to Middle Ages, except for some areas of compromise where certain pagan traditions were blended with certain Christian traditions, including in the celebrations of Christmas and Easter. So what does all of this have to do with this crown chakra? Mostly that our personal enlightenment or salvation, whatever that is or looks like to you, whatever the path is that you're on, are all deeply connected and intertwined with each other. To paraphrase Dr. Fleet Mall, who I believe needs no introduction on this call, he said that to practice mindfulness is to hold up a light in a sea of darkness and chaos so that others can find you. The first three bodhisattva vows are: the unrescued I will rescue, the unliberated I will liberate, the uncomforted I will comfort. Similarly, in the Bible, Jesus says, I was naked and you clothed me, I was sick and you visited me, I was in prison and you came to me. As you did it to one of the least of my brothers, you did it to me. He also says, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So as we cruise on up from the root chakra to the crown chakra, we're doing all of this work on ourselves. We find stability, relatability, self-confidence, self-love, our voice, our truth, our wisdom. And as if our head bumps a light switch through this work, a light shines out to others, as if to say, in my connection to myself, I find a connection to the divine. And in my connection to the divine, I find a connection to all of you. When we are connected to everyone, harm done to any person or group is harm done to ourselves, to our own practices, and to our own connection with the divine. This is why we need to be especially cognizant for potential harm to others on our own paths to enlightenment. As far as enlightenment goes, I don't know. A particular path to enlightenment is not a part of my personal practice, but a connection between myself, what I call God, and the universe is the primary reason for my practice. My hope throughout this entire series on the chakras has been to never proselytize or endorse this particular lens of spiritual practice, but rather to ask questions and call attention to various aspects of the human experience. I have benefited from chakra work to address certain aspects of my own life because the framework of the chakras has helped provide me with an opportunity to ask questions, find connections, and pay active attention to the parts of my life that were experiencing blocks. Remember, the word chakra means wheel, and these wheels can be balanced, blocked, moving too fast, or moving too slow. The most notable signs of an out of balance crown chakra could include cynicism, a disconnection to others, apathy, spiritual addiction, which is something I keep an eye on with myself, and even psychosis. Think Jim Jones. So what practices can help us bring our crown chakra to balance? Well, like the third eye chakra, the higher up we go, meditation is going to continue to be a really big practice. Something that might seem obvious is prayer, but this also includes gratitude practice. Another that I love is creating and spending time in sacred spaces. These spaces may include holy places like churches or temples, the outdoors like the ocean or the woods, and spaces we create in our homes like altars or meditation corners. These spaces can also include a gym or a corner in the library. Like the third eye chakra, expanding our minds through education and learning about other cultures, including their beliefs and practices, a yoga practice, including a number of specific poses like inversions, where your head is below your heart and hips, eating purple foods like grapes or cabbage, wearing purple clothing, and wearing or decorating our sacred spaces with amethysts are all considered to be helpful in balancing the crown chakra. Finally, we can bring balance to the crown chakra through our service to others. So from here, we're going to go into a seated yoga practice followed by a meditation aimed at bringing balance to our crown chakra. So I'm going to scoot my chair back just a little bit so we can get a better view.
Katie, would you like me to put you on?
That might be helpful.
Okay, I'll spotlight you.
Okay, so we're just going to start with an easy seated position in our chair. You might let your hands come down to the tops of your thighs, allowing your feet to be planted firmly on the floor. And we'll begin to connect with our breath. Just starting to notice the way that our breath feels moving in and out of our body. With our next inhale, we're going to take our right hand and place it down by our side, and then stretch our left arm up and over our body. So we start to take a bend over to the right side. When we find that bend, we want to stay connected with our breath. So we take these big, deep breaths in and out of our nose. And with our next exhale, we're going to place our other hand down by our side, our right hand down by our side, and inhale, stretching our right arm up and over our body, taking the stretch over to the other side, connecting with our breath, taking full deep breaths in and out. With our next exhale, we'll come back down through center. And from here, we're going to take a twist. So we'll start with our left hand, bringing it to the outside of our right thigh, taking our right hand and either placing it at the base of our chair or holding on to the top of our chair, whatever feels comfortable, just starting to invite this twist into your spine. And then beginning to connect with your breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, if that's comfortable. With our next inhale, we're going to start to twist in the other direction. So we'll bring our right hand to the outside of our left leg, our left hand to the top or the base of our chair, looking out over our left shoulder this time and connecting with our breath. With our next inhale, we'll come back towards center. And as we inhale next, we'll lift our shoulders up to our ears and then exhale, rolling our shoulders down our back. So we'll take about 3 shoulder rolls going backward, connecting our breath to our movement. And at the bottom of your 3rd shoulder roll, just releasing your shoulders completely, letting them come all the way back down to neutral. With our next inhale, we'll lift our shoulders back up, this time rolling them forward and down. So we take 3 shoulder rolls going in the opposite direction. Releasing our shoulders completely at the bottom of the 3rd. And then finally, we'll take our chin to our chest as we inhale and slowly roll one ear over to one shoulder. And exhale back down through center. Inhale, slowly rolling up to the other side. Exhale, rolling back down through center. Inhale, rolling back up to the other side. Exhale, back down through center. Inhaling back up to the other side. Exhaling back down through center. And if you've gotten an even number to each side, just pausing for a moment with your chin at your chest before slowly lifting your head back up to a neutral position. From here, we're going to bring our attention to the bottoms of our feet, starting to ground our feet into the floor, finding all 4 corners, our toes, our heels, side to side, really rooting down through our feet. We're going to bring our arms out to the side, letting our palms come wide. As we inhale, we're going to lift our shoulders up to our ears. And as we exhale, we'll let our shoulders come back down to our back. And then this time as we inhale, we'll lift our arms up overhead, looking at our fingertips as they touch. And as we exhale, we're going to start to fold forward. And there's a couple options here. You can fold forward over your leg, or if it feels more comfortable, you can rest your arms and head on a desk. So whether you take it as full forward fold or rest your arms and head, both work. We just want to release our head and release our neck. Maybe gently shaking our head no, or gently nodding our head yes. Letting our head hang, and then with our next inhale, we'll start to roll back up into a seated position. Once again, grounding our feet into the floor, finding our toes, heels, side, side. Letting our hands come out to the side. Inhale, lifting our arms up overhead, looking at our fingertips as they touch. Exhale, we'll fold over our legs once more. You can fold over your legs. You can stop at a table, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Just releasing your head and neck. So you're not holding it up. You're just letting it fall either onto your arms and the table or towards your legs. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then with our next inhale, starting to slowly roll back up into a seated position. We'll do that one more time, bringing our hands out to the side, finding all four corners of our feet, our toes, our heels, side to side. Inhale, lifting our arms up overhead, looking at our fingertips as they touch. Exhale, starting to fold forward, either folding all the way over our legs or perhaps stopping at a desk or table, letting your head rest on your arms. Either way, we're releasing any tension in our neck. We're not holding our neck up. We're just letting our head rest or hang. And we take a few deep breaths here. If it's comfortable, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. With our next inhale, we'll start to slowly roll back up to that seated position. Next, we're going to take our right leg and cross our right leg over our left knee, if this is comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you can cross your legs down at your ankles. But we want to find our shoulders above our hips so we have alignment through our spine. And taking an inhale here, we're going to exhale and start to fold over our leg once again, just to a point wherever it feels comfortable. If it gets uncomfortable, you can stop there, you can back out, and if it feels good, you can keep folding over your leg, letting your head and your neck hang. Taking a few deep breaths, finding a stretch that feels good wherever that is, whatever that looks like. And then with our next inhale, we'll start to come back up. We'll place our other leg down. We'll cross the other leg, our left leg, over the top of our right knee, or crossing down at our ankles if that's more comfortable. With our shoulders stacked above our hips, we'll take a breath through center. And with an exhale, we'll just start to fold over our leg one more time, as far as it can to feel comfortable. And when it stops feeling comfortable, or if it feels uncomfortable, you can back out, you can adjust the stretch. If it feels good, you can just let your head and your neck hang. Connecting with your breath here. And with our next inhale, we'll start to come back up to a seated position. Uncrossing our legs. This time, it might feel good to scoot a little bit farther back in your chair, but I'm going to invite you to hug your right leg into your chest, or whatever feels good, whatever stretch. It doesn't have to look like mine. And then start making some circles with your right foot, going one direction and the other direction. Gently releasing the right leg, letting it come all the way back down to the ground. Inhale, bringing your left knee into your chest. Starting to make circles with your left foot, going one direction and the other direction. Gently releasing your left leg, letting it come back down. And then just beginning to find any comfortable seated position to take to find our meditation. So maybe it's adjusting our posture. Maybe we Let the eyes stay open, casting our gaze away from any bright lights or screens, softening our gaze, not looking at anything in particular. Maybe we let our eyes close. Maybe we have our hands resting on our laps. But we begin by starting to notice our breath. Particularly the point of contact between our breath and our body. Noticing perhaps a sensation of coolness as the breath comes in through our nose or parted lips. And a sensation of warmth as the breath leaves our body. From here, we may begin to expand our awareness of sensation of the breath, still noticing the coolness as the air comes in. Perhaps also noticing the coolness of the air as it hits the back of our throat, the expansion in our lungs and our chests and our rib cage with each inhale, that peak point of fullness. And the contraction of our lungs, chest, rib cage with each exhale, the warm air passing out through our lips or nose. So perhaps following the full breath, or keeping our object of mindfulness at that point of contact with coolness and warmth at the nose or parted lips. We just connect with our breath, knowing that our mind may wander, and if it does, that's totally normal, totally human. When we notice our mind wander, we just gently bring it back to our breath, to our object of mindfulness. And shifting from the breath, the invitation here is just to begin to consider the world around you in your immediate space, in your neighborhood, in your city, allowing yourself to feel a sense of wonder, considering the stars in the sky, how far they are, the sun that heats our earth, our solar system. Just taking a moment, considering these major, almost impossible to imagine facts of life. And then we might bring our attention down to our home or our surroundings. Taking a moment to be grateful for a place to live, for shelter, for food, clothing, that all of our basic needs are met. And then shifting our attention once more to consider a benefactor or someone we just love very much, to consider love, the people who make the biggest difference in our life, the people who have nurtured us and help us grow, who love us no matter what, the people we love no matter what. Taking a moment perhaps to be in awe of the miracle that any of this is happening, that out of billions of the people in the world, we were able to find the people that we love. That we were born around the same time as them. That our planet has the resources that has been able to sustain all of us. Just allowing ourselves for another moment or so to find as much wonder and awe that we possibly can in this thing called life. So we'll begin to close this meditation with the invitation to take 3 big breaths together. And if it feels good, with each inhale, you'll be invited to lift your shoulders up to your ears. And with each exhale, you'll be invited to lower your shoulders back into your back, releasing the air with a sigh. So taking that big breath in, lifting our shoulders up to our ears. Breathing out with a sigh. Letting our shoulders come down into our back. 2 more times. Inhale, lifting our shoulders to our ears. Exhaling with a sigh. 1 more time. Inhale, lifting our shoulders to our ears. Exhale with a sigh. If your eyes are closed, you might start to bring them open. If there's some movement that would feel good to invite into your body after that meditation and yoga practice, please give your body whatever it needs right now. And from here, we'll go into questions or comments or points of contrast.
Katie, I'll just thank you so much for that practice. I'm not sure if I'm awake or I'm ready really to take that nap now, but it was very
right.
Just a thought. Remember Tara Brach mentioning the a more mature, her words, definition of enlightenment, and it was not having anxiety about our imperfection. That's a goal I can aspire to. So I really like that.
I love
perfect
that.
person, no, we're going to be human. That's who we are. So
yeah, I love that. And she's amazing. I hadn't seen that quote. Thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome.